Pokemon. One of the best video game franchises out there. I always grew up with Pokemon when I was a tyke after my brother showed me what it was all about. Over the past years, I played game after game after game and even played competitively even to this day. However, back when I was playing my Pokemon Diamond, I still remember that one thing where most battlers love to do. Using some sort of emulator to create their Pokemon teams. I thought it was fine after I got a Magmortar and a shiny Ho-Oh from some people who used it. For the Magmortar, I tried it out in the Battle Tower and I thought it was okay, but when I got Pokemon Battle Revolution and uploaded the data from my Pokemon Diamond, it was a bad egg. That made me think it was not right after all, as some players just had to give created Pokemon moves they shouldn't learn in the first place. Why am I telling you all this? It's because I'm going to take you back to the time that still haunts me to this day, and why using emulators or other cheating devices can change your life forever. It all began back when I was playing Pokemon Black 2. I was chilling out at home and I wanted to do some fun online battling with my Pokemon I raised after a lot of breeding and even training. The team I had was Jolteon, Ferrothorn, Gliscor, Volcarona, Conkeldurr, and Tentacruel. I went on an online chat server that does Pokemon battles, so I did the routine to ask if anyone wants to battle. A few minutes later, I got a challenger and his username was XXX420GetWreckedXXX. Judging by the username, I thought the player was highly egotistical. Now, I'm not a big fan of those users, as most of them only care for themselves and make fun of their opponents when they win, which disgusts me. The most important thing about Pokemon battling is to have fun and respect each other no matter the result. However, that didn't faze me, so I went ahead and accepted the challenge anyway. We've exchanged friend codes and went online to face each other. After we both connected, our Pokemon teams were shown. My opponent's team was Landorus T, or so to say, Landorus Therian form, Rotom Wasp form, Black QM, Gengar, Heatran, and Latias. Most of them I know what movesets to expect. I selected my Pokemon with Jolteon up first, and the battle began. That's when the creepiness began. Suddenly, I heard something that sounded like a distorted voice. I noticed the battle music wasn't playing when the versus screen popped up. Could it have been a bug which made the music lag? I thought about it until the battlefield was shown. The battle took place in a cemetery with a dark atmosphere which surprised me. How on earth can we battle in a cemetery? Was it another bug, or did my opponent find a way to change the scenery? So many questions were scrambling through my mind, I had to ask my opponent if he or she is doing all of this. My opponent replied, no. I'm not sure if that's true or the player's just mocking me. Still, I let that slide. Anyway, my Jolteon and my opponent's Rotom Wasp form were out first. At first, I knew I was expecting Landorus T, as it is a very tough Pokemon to face since it has very good type coverage. The movesets I predict the most were Choice Scarf and Stealth Walk sets. I let my Jolteon go for the Volt Switch, while my opponent switched to Landorus Therian form, unfortunately. I knew things were going to be tough, but then I found something else really peculiar. The Landorus Therian form was moving slower than usual. I know that happens when they are low on HP, but this one was at full HP. Suddenly, I heard something that sounded like a distorted voice. Okay, now things are getting creepy. I was so caught up on the intention that my opponent replied to me to hurry up. So, without thinking, I commanded my Jochon to go for Hidden Power Ice, but Landorus Steering Form went first as it was holding a toy scarf, but the next thing I noticed, the message said, "Foes Landorus Steering Form appears incapable of using his power." What? I didn't know what that was all about before my Jochon took down the Pokemon with one hit thanks to its life orb. I heard the distorted voice again, but this time it was louder. I began to dread what's coming next. Even my opponent was freaked out by all of this, as he or she was replying like mad if I was doing this. Which of course I wasn't. The next Pokemon my opponent sent out was Black QM, but its animation was different compared to the original. It looked like the Pokemon was suffocating for some unknown reason. It was really getting out of hand, so I asked my opponent to consider disconnecting to prevent something else from happening, but he or she replied it was not possible for some odd reason. I tried turning off the power too, but my 3DS couldn't switch off. Even force switching it off didn't work. So I took a deep breath, regretting my only decision, and kept playing. I attempted to switch out my Jochon, but the message said, "Jochon can't be switched out." Oh, come on! Seriously? There's two abilities I can think of that prevents my Pokemon from switching out, and that's Saddle Tag and a Winter Trap. I thought Black QM had it, so I asked about that. My opponent just replied, "Just hurry up," without question. I sighed and made my Jochon go for the Saddle Ball. Suddenly, the scenery began to darken before the turn took place, and I heard the distorted voice once again. My heart began to sink with fear, as if I was having a panic attack. Then, the ominous music kicked in, and the sky turned completely blood red. The music was so awful to listen to. I still heard it even with the volume at mute. I couldn't think what's going to happen next. I then noticed a moving black puddle in the middle of the battlefield. It grew larger and larger until a shadowy figurine appeared from underneath. It looked like a Darkrai, but far worse. This one had a purple ghost plume on his head, a threatening metallic growth, and blood-stained blades as hands. Even my Jochon sprite looked scared just by looking at it. The creature looked at the Black QM with its back against me and creepily moved closer to my opponent. Then, a message popped up in a red-colored text. At that precise moment, my opponent commented out of pure panic, replying to me what was going on and even crying out for help, so I tried to help by choosing my Jochon use Volt Switch, so I could switch to my Conkeldurr. However, Jochon couldn't move, and another message was shown, "Jochon is too scared to move." I tried going for the move again and again, but to no avail while my opponent came face to face with the monster up close. Another message was then shown. No? What does it mean? Could it have been that the opponent I'm facing used an emulator just to battle and become the best? I felt like I was missing something. As I thought about that, the monster seethed out one of its deadly claws, pierced through Black QM's chest, took his heart out, and crushed it like it was an apple. I felt so petrified after I saw what the figurine did to the Pokemon, as blood was pouring from his body before it collapsed. That's when I tried to let my Jochon attack that fiend once again, but it was no good, as the same message popped up every single time. What is going on here? My opponent then sent a Heat Wand, but his cry was distorted as the figurine sucker punched it with another piercing strike, which shattered the Pokemon's head into a million pieces and melted until it was a black pool. The figure also did the same thing to my opponent's Latias, Rotom, Waspform, and finally Gengar somehow. I couldn't do anything. My Pokemon couldn't attack. I couldn't switch out, couldn't flee, and I couldn't disconnect. I felt hopeless. All I could do was watch the whole thing. Soon, the thing had its focus to my opponent. My opponent did not send me any messages. I thought he or she was petrified over what had happened. Suddenly, the figurine spread his arms out and the unthinkable happened. A loud, ear-grating sound was heard not from the game, but from my opponent's mic, which turned on all by itself. It sounded like a giant metal grinder. I also heard my opponent, who sounded like a man. He was screaming in agony, telling it to make it stop after dropping the DS with a thud. I felt his pain from my perspective. It was definitely horrid to listen to. After about 30 seconds, the sound abruptly stopped. There was silence, and all I could see was a shadowy figure. It then turned around, showed his face at me and my Jolteon, which gave me a jump of horror. This dark white figure had no eyes at all, not even a face. It's like I was staring into a black hole. The next thing I knew, the shadowy figure was moving towards my Jolteon, who was crying and shivering in fear. This made me panic, as I didn't want my Pokemon team I raised and used for a long time to fall into the hands of a monster. I tried everything one last time. Attacking didn't work. Switching Pokemon didn't work. Running didn't work. Not even disconnecting worked, as I tried pressing the power button as fast as I could as it stood right in front of my Jolteon. Could this be fate? Oh no! Jolteon! I cried as the figure seeped out his bloodstained claws and lifted one of his arms out. I closed my eyes and braced myself to expect the worst. But nothing happened. I opened my eyes briefly to see what was happening. The figure was just standing there with his arm lowered. I didn't know what was happening until another creepy message popped up.
You are not one of them.
What of who? I replied out loud.
Those loves who break the law of honor.
The message read. I thought what it was all about until I found out. The dark white figure was referring to those who use emulators to create teams, but wouldn't bother raising their own Pokemon themselves. Even though I realized it, I still felt uneasy, like somebody would backstab me. One last message popped up.
Save yourself. Release those who were made from the unworthy.
The game then ended with the following communication error message. In my life, I've never experienced something like that to happen. It was like I was in a nightmare. I held the palm of my right hand to my head to recover what I've been through. Then I remembered the last message before the disconnection. I repeated it to myself over and over again. I knew what I had to do. I went to my Pokemon games, Pokemon Diamond, Pokemon Platinum, Pokemon Black, and Pokemon Black 2, and released. Those I found were hacked. The Magmortar and the Shiny Ho-Oh from Pokemon Diamond, and the Shiny Latios, who I thought was legally EV trained from Pokemon Black 2. I hoped that was enough for that shadowy figure to forgive me. After about 15 minutes of releasing those Pokemon, I decided to call it a night. I went to sleep to clear my head from what I've been through, hoping it was all just a dream. The next day, I woke up and got out of bed. As I was getting myself sorted, I looked at my 3DS on the floor, making me remember that dreadful time. I shrugged it off, picked up my 3DS and made myself some breakfast to chill and watch TV. Nothing was new on the TV when I was channel surfing until I came across a specific channel. It was a news channel with the headline saying, "Gamer mentally paralyzed after playing Pokemon." The newscaster was going on saying the cause of this was unknown. There was even a heated argument about it. As I was watching the news channel, I quickly turned on my 3DS and received a notification from the Nintendo letterbox. Being the sort of person who wants to clear away old notifications, I went to the software. I received a message from someone called Blank Space. And strangely, there was no me. I thought it was probably spam until the message opened up all by itself. After it was completely drawn, it came up with this.
Thank you.
That left an unforgettable scar in my lifetime which I will never forget even to this day. It certainly wasn't a dream after all. So for all those who want to play Pokemon competitively, make sure you raise your Pokemon teams as they should be, or else you'll get what's coming to you.